And action. What's going on, folks? You know what time it is. Time to talk movies.
Movies.
With your hosts, Kevin and Drew.
On the tiny screen.
Yeah. Fucking A, man. My choice this time is a movie that we both haven't seen previously. Dr. Strangelove, the Stanley Kubrick. What was it, like
1964.
64.
Yeah. I think it's the one, if not the first, it's one of the first movies he ever directed. Let's do a quick Goog real quick.
Yeah.
Now, while I got it pulled up here.
And anyways, Drew's choice was fantastic, Mr. Fox.
Yeah.
Wes Anderson, who I'm not a huge fan of, if you've been listening to
I either really like his movies or I really don't like them. There's like no in between. Like some of them I'm like, I love that movie, and others I'm like, nah, that's not for me.
Yeah. What are you pulling it up?
It's Stanley Kubrick. I was just curious what his first actual film was. No, so I was wrong. The first film he ever made was actually called Fear and Desire, and it was in 1952. Yeah, dude had a very checkered, history of
wide variety of fucking.
Yeah, and his last movie he directed was Eyes Wide Shut, which that fucking makes sense that's his movie, honestly.
Oh yeah, I watched that for the first time not too long ago.
It's a weird fucking movie too.
Yeah,
all Stanley
totally.
Kubrick's movies are so fucking weird, man.
So fucking weird. Anyways, let's do us up a snapshot and we'll get right into this
All
shit.
right.
I don't know what I want to do. Boobs. It is we will be picking a Halloween movie at the end of this episode.
Hell yeah.
Something little something
It's my
we like to do.
favorite kind of movies, man.
Yeah.
The reason I don't pick horror movies is because I know you don't really like them.
I mean, there's some that I like. I don't just outright hate them all, you know?
Yeah.
I guess it's sort of a mood. You got to be in the mood.
Yeah, I mean, I know the ones you really don't like are like the action flicks that Mike likes.
Yeah.
Those are the movies that you really don't like.
Yeah, there's a couple that get me. But did you watch any other movies?
Honestly, I was racking my brain and I'm gonna actually let me look at my thing real quick. I'm gonna let you go first because I'm gonna see if I wrote anything down that I actually watched because I don't really remember watching a lot of movies this time around.
Well, in the spirit of Halloween, me and Sarah threw on Young Frankenstein.
Hell yeah, that's awesome.
Oh God, it was so funny, man. It was great, man. And fucking what's her name? Terry Garr was so hot in that movie. Fucking smoking. That's another old ass movie. So nothing.
I actually these are the only because I
Been working your ass off or something.
No, that and I was sick. Not this week, but last week I was real sick, and I had bought a video game. So like, all I did was like, since I was sick, was play that game.
What is it?
It's called Persona 5. It's like a role playing game, but it's a really really long game. It like just to beat it, it's like a 100-hour game. It's like there's so much content in it. So
Fun.
yeah.
See, another one I watched was The Deer Hunter. Have you ever seen it? That's the It's got De Niro and fucking Christopher Walken.
Yeah, I've seen that movie. Yeah, it's the
Meryl
most
Streep.
famous scene is the
Roulette, yeah.
the Russian roulette scene.
Roulette.
Yeah,
There's a couple of different Russian roulette scenes in that movie. It's kind of a big theme of that movie. But I really liked it. I enjoyed the fuck out of it. It's first time watching that. That was fucking... I wrote down on my notes. It's basically a movie that revolves around Russian roulette. Pun intended. Revolves, I don't know.
You know what? There was one movie I remembered I did watch. I'm pretty sure I watched it this time around. And did I bring up Liar Liar last podcast?
Yeah, you did.
Okay, never mind. Yeah, that was... Yeah, because I was like,
Great
when was the
movie.
last fucking movie I watched? I was like, I think it was that one too. I don't think I watched really any other movies.
I can't wait. I want to see fucking Killers of the Flower Moon, that new Scorsese one.
Oh yeah,
But the runtime is 3.5 hours.
dude. I know each movie he fucking puts out gets longer and longer, man.
Dude.
Like the Irishman that he released on Netflix is fucking 3 hours. I'm like,
I watched
man,
that a couple times.
it's
I think.
a good movie. I mean,
It's
so is Goodfellas, but that movie's almost 3 hours. It's like,
Oh yeah,
dude, can you make a movie under
Movie
2.5
fucking
hours? Same thing with The Wolf of Wall Street. That movie's like 3 fucking hours too.
The Departed. That's a good movie.
That is one of my favorite movies by him, man. Definitely need to revisit that. Yeah, no, I was thinking about it. I was like, no, I really just didn't watch any movies. I did watch like some series that have been coming out. Like I've been watching Our Flag Means Death. Like I fucking love that show.
Never heard of it.
It's a it's a pirate show that Taika Waititi's in on HBO Max. It's pretty damn funny. I quite like that one.
Nice. The last one I have is just I kind of half watched Good Burger. You know, it was just kind of on, and I was kind of doing other things.
Yeah,
Love that movie. Strawberry Jacuzzi. Fucking great. Without further ado, let's jump into one. What do you say? Which one do you want to do first?
I'm probably gonna have more to say about Doctor Strangelove, so I want to talk about Fantastic Mr. Fox first.
Let's do it.
So, for me, this was the very first Wes Anderson movie I ever watched, and it's before I knew like what his style, like what he did, like you know, like his like weird kind of niche style of comedy. But I think this movie has a lot of charm to it. And so even when I go back, I mean, I've seen this movie quite a few times. Because the first time I saw it was probably more than a decade ago, actually. I was in college when I saw this movie. A girl I was dating made me watch it with her, and I ended up really fucking liking it.
So who is this? Clooney?
Yeah, George Clooney.
Meryl Streep?
Meryl Streep plays his wife, yeah.
Yeah. There's a couple
Bill Murray plays the Tom Badger. There's some Jason Schwartzman plays his son
the
Ash.
son,
Yeah.
I like Jason Schwartzman. He's good.
Yeah. And I don't know. I just think there's a lot of like there's some pretty clever dialogue in this movie. And I don't know. I just think it's got a lot of heart, and despite it's
kind of charming.
Yeah, it's got that definitely that Wes Anderson weirdness to it. Like he has that that weird line where it's like weird between funny ha ha and funny strange, you know what I mean? I think this movie kind of balances that better than a lot of his other movies, though, because I've tried to go back and watch. I take that back. The first Wes Anderson movie I ever saw was The Royal Tenenbaums, which I thought was funny. The first
one's
time
kind of on my list. I kind of wanted to see that one, but
I would watch it again, but I don't enjoy it as much as the first time I watched it. Whereas this one's still I still like it every time I watch it.
Let's see. 2009. Fantastic Mr. Fox comedy adventure.
Plus, I think the claymation in this movie is done really well. Like they
It's
put a lot.
stop motion.
Yeah, the stop motion. They put so much time into doing it, and I think it really paid off. Like I think it like as far as like what it is, it looks great.
It's got a pretty good score. We got a 93 Rotten Tomatoes, 85 audience. And then tagline, I'll throw it out. His life is fantastic. His wife is fantastic. His neighbors, not so fantastic.
Those are the humans, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's kind of funny too, because it's very much like the clever fox versus stupid predator. It's like always getting a leg up because he's just more clever than they are.
Mm-hmm. So basically he's a fox who doesn't want to live underground anymore, right? And,
yep. Wants to live the good life.
And he's always stealing and shit. And
so he promises his wife after she gets pregnant that he won't be a thief anymore.
Right.
But then he's tired of being poor, so he decides to buy a home close to the 3 biggest farms in the area, and decides he's going to pull one last big job, and that's kind of where like the movie starts off. And
that's how it always happens.
And there's just stuff that cracks me up, like
You had one job. I have a plan, Arthur.
one of my favorite scenes is that so when his cousin Christopherson comes to live with them, and he's jealous because his dad sees like Christopherson's athletic potential.
Yeah.
And they're in the class together, and Ash already doesn't like Christopherson, the fox's son, Ash. And so they're doing a lab experiment, and his lab partner keeps staring at Christopherson because she thinks he's cute. And so finally he gets fed up and he goes, "You're supposed to be my lab partner." And she's like, "I am your lab partner." And he goes, "No, you're not. You're disloyal." And there's like a lot of like really clever dialogue like that in this movie, and I really enjoy it. I think that my favorite part is the dialogue. This movie has great dialogue. My other favorite scene, and it always makes me laugh, is when the fox goes to meet Mr. Badger, played by Bill Murray, and Bill Murray doesn't want to give him the loan for the house because he knows that he's up to something, and he's probably going to try and like stir up the farmers, and they're afraid that it's going to put everybody in danger. So he's like, "Well, I'm going to go buy that house anyway." He looks at him and he goes, "The cuss you are." And so they don't swear in this movie. They say, "Are you cussing at me?" And they're like circling each other. And I just love the scenes where like they're shown as being like these weird hybrid animals that like are intelligent like people, but then there's those moments where they like turn into wild animals. Yeah, so like in that scene, they're like snarling at each other. "You cussing at me?" Rawr, rawr. And it's really funny when they're like, they put like napkins and they have like silverware before they eat, and then they just eat like wild animals.
Yeah. It's a very fast-paced movie, I'll say that. And plus, it's pretty short, huh? It's like it's under an hour and a half.
Yeah, I think it's like an hour and 22 minutes or something like that. Yeah. I think though, like his kind of storytelling works better in a shorter movie. You know what I mean? I think how he tells stories is better suited for something faster paced. It's like for some of his longer movies, like the ones that I don't like that he's done, like The Aquatic Life. There's a lot of Wes Anderson movies that I don't like.
Of all the ones I've seen so far, probably this one was probably the best one I think I've seen. It's still not my favorite though.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted it. Like I was like, of all his movies, I was like, I don't think Kevin will love this movie, but I think you'll at least like there's stuff you'll think is funny, and like it'll be like a better jumping pad
more
into
palatable.
Yeah, it'll be more palatable, and it'll give you like a better sense of like his humor, because this movie is more. It's supposed to be funny. It's more geared towards humor and being like having witty banter.
I think it's just like his way of storytelling that I just don't really vibe with.
He presents the audience with a lot of really silly situations. You know what I mean? It's like it's always ensemble cast, and then it's always just like ridiculousness. Like every situation, and all his movies are like that. It's
and
just
very
like these
stylized, over stylized, I would say.
Yeah.
In a lot of his movies.
Yeah, I give you that. A lot. I think that it is kind of his style. It's like it's style over substance a lot of the time. He relies like kind of heavily on the dialogue between characters.
Have you seen Bottle Rocket?
It's on my list, but I've never seen it.
I started to watch it one day and then I just turned it off. Like, I should give it another retry, but for whatever reason, I was just like, I'm gonna find something else to watch.
If you're gonna watch any of his movies, I would suggest this one, The Royal Tenenbaums, and then I'd also say I think his funniest movie is probably The Grand Budapest Hotel, but it also is like it's a very ridiculous story.
Yeah. Yeah, what was the one I said I seen? Oh, French Dispatch.
Yeah.
Didn't care for it. Ultimately, this movie is like about acceptance, right? It's fucking trying to accept who you are, and I don't know, especially like the son.
Well, and accept your circumstances too, like. And like accept that it's like, you know, it's okay not to have everything. Like,
right. Yeah. Wild animals. I was like, there's probably some symbolism with the farmers and stuff, but I didn't think too much about it. And probably like capitalism and I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like wealth hoarding. No, it's all that stuff. Gluttony, like the one farmer, like he eats fucking 12 chickens a day. Like, you know,
yeah.
It's like, it's very much about people that have excess, but they're not all that bright. And it's just like, just because you have all this excess doesn't necessarily make you smarter or better than everybody else. Although the pine cone scene fucking cracks me up too, when they come out of the sewer and start throwing the flaming pine cones, and it like sets everything on fire. Because it's like it's so funny because it's just the one pine cone. There's like, that's it? That's all you got? And then there's like fucking hundreds of them. Yeah.
So yeah, they fucking, what happens? They like drive them underground or something.
So what happens at first is the fox successfully completes all his heists, so he steals all of their shit, and so to get back at him, they decide to uproot the tree that he lives in.
Yeah, they dig the.
And so they're trying to dig all the animals out, and so that's how they dig, and then they end up in the sewer because they're trying to escape. From the humans, but they shoot his tail off in the process. So to get back at them, he steals the rest of their shit. And they get the one guy, like I would say the smartest of the three idiot farmers, pumps a bunch of cider into the hole they're in. So they're not in the sewer. They're just kind of they've dug out an entrenchment to where they're safe, and then so they fill that entrenchment full of cider, and it blows them out into the sewer, and that's how they end up in the sewer. And so because Foxy's pride has been smashed, because you know foxes are supposed to be smart, they're not supposed to get caught. The farmer's got his tail. So his son goes to like
get a tie or
something.
His
son and Christopherson go to get it back.
And Christopherson ends up getting captured.
So until this watch, I had no idea, but William Dafoe actually plays the rat.
Oh yeah, dude.
The rat's one of my favorite characters too.
I mean, it's a hell of a cast, man.
Yeah,
like there's a lot of motherfuckers in there.
Yeah, when he kills the rat and the rat goes, he's like, "Would you have told me where my nephew is if I hadn't killed you?" Never.
God, I love that guy.
He's like, your wife's the town. Used to be the town tart. There's a lot of quotable lines in that movie. I think that's I appreciate a comedy that is like is quick like that, and it's fun to repeat the lines. They're like memorable, and I think this is one of his few movies where there's like a lot of memorable lines in it.
And it's one of those movies that are kind of it's kind of aimed at kids, but it's also for adults.
Yeah, there's a lot of adult humor in that movie. It's
kind of somewhere in between.
It's like, and it's like subtle. Like there's like a lot of subtle adult humor in that movie.
Yeah,
especially with like that scene where it's like, the cuss you are. That's totally.
You cussing at me?
You cussing at me? Don't cuss at me.
Yeah, that's silly. But yeah, man, I don't know. Like I said, I don't have a lot of notes on this.
Yeah, no,
movies.
I not on this one. This one was more just for me. It was a nostalgia. And it was like literally, like I said, I had seen it on Netflix, and I was like, man, I haven't seen that movie in a long time, and I would love to give myself a reason to watch it again. So.
Did you watch it when it came out, or?
Yeah. It was the girl I was dating. Like, she liked his movies, and I was in art school at the time. And she's like, "Hey, come over and watch this movie with me." I mean, I got laid, so that I have a pretty fond memory of this movie. Like,
little Netflix and chill. Yep. Anything, yeah. Something about Wes Anderson, just I don't get it. And there's like a lot of people, like comedians I listen to and shit, that love his work and everything. And I don't know. It's not for me. I think
it's definitely one of those things where he's very. There's a lot of directors that are like him too, where their work is just split down the middle. It's like the Coen brothers, man. Some people love their movies, and some people like, and this other. Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of their movies I really like too, but other people are like, you know what, not really that into it. You know what I mean?
Have you ever seen Blood Simple? It was like one of their first ones.
No, that one I haven't seen.
Pretty good, actually. I was surprised.
You wanna give this movie a rating?
Frances McDormand and sure. It's tough for me. I don't know what to say.
No, it's cool, man. I mean, I know he's not your deal.
I don't want to shit on it too hard because, like I said, it is one of the better Wes Andersons that I've seen. Probably middle of the road, around 5 or so.
Yeah, that's kind of where I figured. I figured Kevin, he's going to give it like a 5, maybe a 6 if he found some of the stuff as funny as I did. And I mean, I'm not too much out of there. I'm probably about like a 6.5. Like I didn't like this watch as much as
kind of went down a peg.
Yeah. I mean, some of the stuff in it is like really is geared towards kids, and now that I'm older and I watch it again, it's real silly. But there are still like genuine moments where I get a good laugh like every time it comes up, and this movie gives me a good bit of nostalgia, so I still enjoy it.
Rewatchability.
I mean, not right away, but I could definitely watch it again.
I could probably in the distant future.
Stomach it again, yeah.
Well, we really zoomed past that one.
Yeah.
We're express movie talking today.
Well, this one I'm gonna have a lot to say about.
Jump right into Doctor Strangelove.
Doctor Strangelove, but it's not because I fucking like this movie. It's a weird and kind of fucking wacky movie, quirky. Man. It's quirky, yeah.
The full fucking title is Doctor Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb.
Yep.
1964 war comedy, Stanley Kubrick.
It's funny that this movie is like supposed to be one of the greatest comedies of all time, because I really didn't find it very funny. You know what I mean? Like I don't know how you felt about it. I was like it really didn't make me laugh at all.
I laughed at some of the parts. You ready for this Rotten Tomatoes score?
Yeah, I'm sure.
98.
Yeah, that's kind of. I know it's rated really high.
94 audience. Tagline. The only tagline I found was the comedy classic from celebrated director Stanley Kubrick. Oh, there was another one. The red hot suspense story that's rocking and shocking the world. But yeah, it's really weird. It's a really weird movie.
Yeah. And so now I'm gonna, before we like talk about the movie, I want to talk about like some research I did on it.
Sure.
So, interestingly enough, this movie is actually loosely based on this book called Red Alert, and it's very I read the plot synopsis of the book, and the plot is very similar in the book and the movie, except the movie is much obviously more satirical.
Right.
But the big difference of the movie and the book is, in the book it's more serious.
Right.
And so the plane, they actually managed to the Russians managed to shoot it down before the bombs can be activated. So they shoot it in the ocean, so like there's none of the like fallout. So it actually has like a good ending where, like, you know, the world isn't fucking destroyed, or isn't, you know, big spoiler here. In Doctor Strangelove, they fucking don't manage to stop the plane, and they drop a bomb, and where they drop the bomb is where the Russians have this doomsday device. I have the notes here. It's a chemical. So
that part, I was laughing at that fucking part, dude.
Where he was riding. Yeah, that I do give you that. That was pretty humorous. Like, yeehaw!
I knew it was going to happen, too, because I was like, as soon as he went down there to the bomb, I was like, oh, I've seen this referenced in The Simpsons and many other things. And I actually just saw that Simpsons episode.
Yeah, I mean,
recently.
it's a very, very iconic movie moment.
Yeah. He's just riding the bomb.
Yeah, just riding it all the way down.
Audibly laughing, dude, LOLing.
But so what it lands on is cobalt thorium, which essentially is like, it's like this element that if it explodes, it just creates this insane amount of nuclear fallout. And so that's kind of like, that is actually them dropping the bomb, you know, because that's a real world fear of a lot of people is we actually like use like modern nuclear warfare.
Mutually assured destruction.
Exactly. So I mean, even if it's just one bomb, I mean, the radiation is polluting the sky. Like it's going to have like worldwide effects. And that's kind of where this movie pokes holes in fun of like this at a time where, you know, people were very, very fucking scared of nuclear war. So, you know, just one nuke is enough to cause devastation to the entire planet. But them hitting this, essentially this doomsday device, like fucking just destroys the whole world.
All kinds of mushroom clouds.
And that's kind of the funny satirical part about the end, where he's like, oh, we'll just live in the mines, and it'll only take like 100 years until the rate. And that's one of the big, like, that is kind of like, I didn't laugh, but I did find it a little humorous, to where it's just like, you know, like that radiation's not going to be gone in 100 years. It's going to probably take hundreds of fucking years before that radiation. I mean, it literally, like that amount of radiation will fucking turn the planet into a giant desert. Like, I mean, there'll still be water. Like, it's not gonna fucking, but it's gonna fucking mutate and kill. I mean, there might be some things that survive, but they're going to have a shit ton of radiation and be heavily fucking mutated.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy.
Yeah. And that's kind of a point I was going to bring up too, is in real world things where there's like Chernobyl. So the Russian experiments,
no more Chernobyls.
You know, the meltdown, and that was just a reactor. That wasn't even a fucking nuclear weapon, and just the radiation from the reactor, it's still fucking not safe to go there. You know what I mean? And that was like fucking 75 years ago. So we're kind of encroaching like almost 100 years on that, and it's still like highly fucking radioactive. Like, it takes, you know, centuries for that shit to dissipate. So it's a kind of a this movie's very tongue in cheek. You know, it's very much making fun of something very dark, where it's just like, and at the height of a time where, you know, like the Cuban Missile Crisis was literally the year before this movie came out in '63. And, you know, they were scared then that the fucking world was going to end because the Russians had fucking nukes in Cuba. So the world literally could have fucking ended in 1963. And so this movie is, you know, it's very not only relevant to the time, but I mean, it's kind of still relevant to now. Like, because, you know, it's not like anybody's really disarmed their nuclear weapons. It's still something that could happen in the future and we would all be fucked, you know.
Yeah, they're right.
Not to be a downer, sorry everybody, but it's the reality of the situation. But this movie, I think the thing that this movie does so well is it pokes fun of the government and how it basically just has its own head up its own ass.
Yeah,
you know what
and
I mean?
how stupid they can be.
How stupid they are, and how bad they can fuck everything up.
Yeah.
And it like that is like, and it's sad, but to this day, it's very much of like, oh yeah, that's fucking spot on. Like, our government is a joke, and you know, when you really stop to think about it, it's like these fucking guys. These are the fucking guys that have nuclear codes.
Yeah,
that could press a button and like just wrap your head around this. Is like, you know,
with their fingers on the button.
It's like you have guys like Joe Biden and fucking Trump, and I was like, these are senile 80-year-old men, and all it would take is a little convincing in the fucking press of a button and they could drop fucking nuclear weapons on people. That's a fucking terrifying thought.
Yeah,
and it's like it just speaks to the incompetency of our fucking government. And this movie fucking nails that aspect. Which is like, yeah, like, you know, none of these people should have this fucking power to fucking be able to send nuclear weapons and blow shit up. Like,
no, I know.
It's fucking,
it's fucked.
It's so crazy.
I'll say it took me a minute to get into the movie. You know what I mean? And that happens a lot with older movies, you know.
Well, I think
but I definitely did get invested into the movie after a while, but it just took a minute, and I was like, all right, let's do this. You know?
Yeah, it's especially that's Kubrick's style. He has a very slow and drawn out approach into like building into the story. And it can honestly, and that was kind of like, personally, I didn't have the same experience. I didn't really get engaged in the movie. I found it to be really boring at times, and that's kind of my thing with a lot of Stanley Kubrick movies. I've watched a lot of his movies. I've seen Space Odyssey. That movie is
one's weird, bro.
It's weird and it's boring.
It kind of is.
Shit.
Yeah, yeah, you're not wrong.
I think this movie is it's a service to this movie that it is shorter. It's only an hour and a half, so I think it's this is more palatable than some of Kubrick's other movies. And fucking some of the acting and the dialogue is just so zany, man.
I know,
it's so
dude.
out there.
It is. It's really weird.
And the fucking, I mean, especially Dr. Strangelove. He's a fucking freak, man.
He keeps fighting to keep his arm down from Heiling and shit.
Yeah. He's got some kind of weird phantom limb syndrome or some shit like that. Yeah.
I think he's trying to do the Hitler fucking Heil.
Yeah. Because he's
trying
Nazi.
to stop himself.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty funny. One of my favorite lines in this movie was, "You can't fight in here. This is the war room."
yeah. Okay, I give you that one. That one was pretty fucking funny. And I think it's pretty like it's kind of like weird because it's like one of the first movies that where you really see somebody, at least as far as like blockbuster movies like this, it's one of the first movies you really see one actor play a bunch of fucking other characters.
I know. I didn't realize that till later. I was like, damn,
like Peter Sellers is the president. He's Dr. Strangelove, and he's like a couple other characters.
Yeah. You can't fight in here. This is the war room. Yeah, I've never seen a Kubrick film that was this fucking silly, bro.
Yeah, and that's kind of that's the intention. So also, here's another fun fact about this movie. So there was another movie that came out basically was coming out at the same time, called Failsafe. And Kubrick and the author of the movie that this is based on, let me bring that up. What was this movie? What is
Red
that?
Alert?
Red Alert, yeah. So Red Alert, the author of Red Alert and Stanley Kubrick got together and they wrote the screenplay together because they Kubrick didn't want the movie to be as serious as the book. He wanted it to be a political satire. Like, he wanted to be making fun of something so heinous and scary, especially for the time. This was a real thing that could become an inevitability, but he wanted to satire it. And so it's a very different feel than a lot of the other stuff at that time, where it's like the Red Scare. Well, the opposite is true for Failsafe. It's like a very serious movie, but it's interesting because the book and the movie that's based off the book are basically a direct ripoff of Red Alert. It's the same exact story, but the Failsafe came out in the book released in 1962, and the movie, the book was released 4 years after Red Alert. So it's and they actually took it to court and sued him, pushed back Failsafe's release. And it's interesting because there was a really famous director directing it at the time too, and it had a famous actor named Henry Fonda in it. So it's
heard of him.
Yeah, it's really interesting that it's like the same movie being made, but it's in a completely different style. Here's another fun fact about this movie. I don't know if you noticed him, but
James Earl Jones.
James Earl Jones. This is his first movie, man.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never seen a young James Earl Jones. He's always just been that old guy, you know?
Yep.
In The Sandlot and fucking...
Yep.
He was Mufasa. He was Darth Vader.
Yep.
Cho Simba. Yeah, dude, that was weird. He was the one. He was in the bomber, right? Fucking,
he's in one of them bombers. Yeah. He's. I think he's in part of the crew that they sent after. What's his fucking name? I got it right here. This is why I pulled everything up, man. So I could just So. Hold on. Bear with me, everybody.
You talking about James Earl Jones's name in there?
So his name
Zog
is, I think you're right. Yeah, it's Lieutenant Zog. So he's kind of sent after who they call King Kong. He's in the first bomber, they say. You know what I mean?
He's the one with the cowboy hat, right?
Yeah, he's the one with the cowboy hat.
Rides the
thick,
bomb.
Yeah, the rides the bomb down.
That shit is so fucking funny.
That's kind of what's funny is they
cracks me up.
They kind of haphazardly try to stop him too, right? Because they tell the Soviets that, hey, there's this fucking plane with a nuclear bomb on its way. So they try and shoot it down, but it ends up only damaging his communication system. Right. So they can't even fucking call the plane back at the end. You know what I mean? Because they can't get a hold of him. So he's trying to. That's what he's doing, is he's trying to fix it, but he ends up opening the bomb payload by mistake, and that's where he's just like, he's like, mission accomplished, woo! He's like, America!
So fucking funny. And it was all because of that one dude who was talking about the fluoridation of the water. They're trying to
Oh yeah, so that is the general Ripper that sends him
Something about bodily fluids they're trying to.
Well, yeah. So essentially, he's saying that they're poisoning American water,
Which they are. I mean, there's fluoride in the water right now.
Yep. But it's basically like he's gone fucking mad. He's like he's trying to do essentially he's set up this preemptive strike against the Soviet Union. Before, he's like, it's basically like a kill them before they kill us kind of mentality. Mm-hmm. But it's like doing this will doom the whole fucking world, and that's kind of the humor of it too. Is them sending a plane to blow up the Soviet Union, but these motherfuckers have a doomsday device with this giant again. Let's see.
Pull it up, Jamie.
Yeah, I've already got it here. So this is why I did this, because it's a lot of information. Yeah. But the cobalt thorium, so that stuff I was talking about earlier, essentially when you blow it up, it's just going to be like this giant fucking nuclear cloud that's going to cover the whole continent. So it's like basically like, well, if you kill us, we're just going to kill everybody. Like, and so that like, and then it comes up in the movie that they were going to release that information in a press conference to deter the United States from trying to launch any nuclear weapons against them. Mm-hmm. But it's like it's too late because the plane's already on the fucking way and nobody knows about it until it's too late. And so
yeah,
it's all very silly, but it's just like it's a stranger than fiction type deal where you're afraid that this could be some real shit, like people like having, those fucking crazy ass hoarder people, like maybe they're right, and like we're gonna be living in fucking bunkers for centuries.
Right. That was one of my notes, is like that this film is pretty relevant today, as much as it was back then, just the the whole
this is the funny thing though, is about living in mines and stuff, is frankly the nuclear contamination would affect the well water that they would be trying to drink, so like they would still die of radiation poisoning even in the fucking mines. It's like you really wouldn't you would already have to have had like a man-made setup, like fucking way down, and maybe the government already has this shit, maybe they have that failsafe where they're like, miles underground, set up just in case this shit happens, so all the the fucking rich people still have somewhere to go.
Right.
But normal people like us will be fucked.
I know, what's he saying? He's like, us guys will bring a bunch of women down there.
He's like, well, we'll go deeper in the mines and then we'll dig deeper still. He's like, and to repopulate the world, there'll be 10 women to every one man. Like, this is the fucking craziest shit, man.
It's weird because Dr. Strangelove is barely in the movie almost, I mean, he's only got a couple of scenes.
Yeah, he's the movie is named after him, but he's like really not even all that relevant to the movie. Like if you took him out of it, he wouldn't. It really wouldn't affect the outcome of the movie really at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It would pretty much everything would still play out the same way that it did. Well, and it's like you always, and that's the other thing that's scary, man, is you always have like those military guys that are like, we need to go kill these people, and it's like, man, we need to calm our military complex down. We've been blowing up brown people for fucking
turn your mic a little, will you?
Oh yeah,
just
better.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say,
yeah.
Been fucking, we need to calm that shit down. We've been blowing up brown people for like 3 decades now. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah. One of my notes is just the general message in a lot of his movies is that human beings have limited control over their behaviors. I think I took that from like a YouTube video or something, but that's pretty interesting. We're all kind of just animals, and that kind of goes back to Fantastic Mr. Fox. kind of similar in that way.
Yeah. You know, that was something I was kind of like thinking over today. People really like, we try and separate ourselves as like a higher life form, but like we're really just animals. I mean, we all like,
at the end of the day,
and I mean, we have basically social animal behavior where it's like, you know, we're okay in our comfort, like, you know, our little tribes, but when we expand it out, like, it's just like animals. Like, if like different wolf packs, we fucking fight it out, you know what I mean?
Are we at that point or what? You got anything else to say?
Not really, man. It's a fucking weird movie. It was pretty much exactly what I was expecting it to be, honestly.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man. All right. I guess we'll fucking rate it. I put it at like a 6.5 actually, and but I wrote down it has potential to grow in my book. I think it was a decent fucking watch. It's not something that you'd put on every day.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm gonna give it like, a 5, just because it's not my
cup of jizz.
It's not my cup of jizz. It really is not my cup of jizz. But I respect its cultural significance and its relevance even today. I don't think it's the comedic masterpiece it's marveled as, but I do think it's a movie as far as satire.
Back in the day, I mean, it probably fucking, I could see how.
Back in the day, people blew
their minds.
Yeah, it probably blew their fucking minds, man. The satirical element of it, though, it stood the test of time. It's very, I think from a standpoint of when the movie was made, how culturally significant it is, how what it's satiring is still like palatable today. Like, I mean, you could essentially make that movie now, and you could still very relative, even to the times now. And so for that, like, I respect it, which is why I'm not giving it a lower rating, even though I really didn't enjoy watching it that much. Whereas there's scenes you reminded me of. I was like, oh yeah, that actually was pretty fucking funny. Hey, there's no fighting in the war room. Yeah, that's pretty funny.
Rewatchability, I would eventually.
I think I'd probably need to. I think at some point I would need to go back and watch this movie again, but it probably won't be for a while.
Yeah. Oh shit! Did you watch it on my Vudu?
Oh, I actually rented it on Prime.
Oh,
I watched it this morning, so that's why I was like pretty fresh in my head for the most part.
Yeah. Alrighty then. There you have it, folks. That's how we feel about those movies. One thing left to do.
Yep.
Drum roll. So yeah, like we said earlier, we're doing a Halloween edition.
Yeah, I'm excited. I fucking love horror movies. They're my favorite.
I love horror movies too. Whores.
I love horror movies too. Oh shit, man.
Yeah. So, you want to go first or should I?
You can go ahead, man. I know. I mean, I know what I'm picking. So.
All right. Well, I'm picking a movie that I really like. It's a, scary movie. What else can I say about it? It's Rob Zombie. I'm picking a Rob Zombie.
Oh shit! Okay.
House of a Thousand Corpses, bro. Let's go.
That's a fucking good one.
I
man.
really like that one. I
actually really like that movie too.
It's probably my favorite out of all of his, I think.
Mine is The Devil's Rejects, but I'll talk about that next time.
Yeah. There we go.
Honestly, I'll probably watch them both. Frankly.
Yeah.
The one I'm picking though is actually a newer movie. So I've seen like all these movies when I was like a kid, like teenager. Because I watched like all the big horror movies. Like I've seen all the Friday the 13th, all the Halloween movies, all the Nightmare on Elm Streets.
Who's your favorite slasher? I like Michael Myers.
I honestly, I prefer Freddy. Like, because he has the most movies that I really like in his, like, franchise. I think that Friday the 13th has the most shitty movies, but there are, like, I really like the original Friday. There's a few Friday the 13th I really like, but I would say Friday the 13th has the biggest collection of bad movies. I think actually Halloween has probably Halloween probably has the most good movies, because Halloween 1 and 2 are great. 3 is really fucking weird. 4 and 5 are boring. But Halloween 6 and 7 are like 4 out of the 7 original movies are pretty fucking good.
Yeah, Mike picked Halloween for our Halloween episode a couple of years ago.
I actually really like the Rob Zombie version of it too.
I picked Jaws. I never seen. Well, I think I saw one of them. I don't know.
The second one isn't very good, but the first one is pretty great. Sorry.
All right, yeah.
I detoured way too much because I love these fucking movies. But the one I'm picking is Candyman, but I'm not picking the original one. I'm actually picking the 2021 one because I think it's really good. I really fucking like this movie.
Never seen either one.
So I've got the Blu-ray. Well, I'm going to have it. It's coming on Monday, so if you want me to just let you borrow it after I watch it on Monday, you're more than welcome to do that.
I mean, sure.
Yeah, I could just like drop it off to you on whenever.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I mean, is it not streaming or something? I wonder if
you'd probably have to rent it, honestly. I also have House of 1,000 Corpses, so if you need to borrow that, let me know too. So that way, I think this is going to be the one where we actually don't have to fucking rent any of the movies for it.
I think it says Amazon. Maybe that might be a premium subscription, though. You know what I mean? Where you add on shit.
Yeah.
Maybe. Let me check House of 1,000 Corpses real quick before we cut out.
Figure it out. He's giving it a goog.
Giving it the goog, the old goog. Oh shit! It's on Tubi with ads.
Yuck.
I know, dude. And Pluto, which barf. Mike fucking commented. He was like, "How dare you watch it on Pluto?" When talking about Tombstone. I was like, I know, dude. I wanted to fucking shoot myself.
Yeah, I would have been so mad, dude.
All right. So, Halloween edition. We're doing House of 1,000 Corpses and Candyman 2021. Thanks for listening, everybody. This is a short one, man. Hey, short and sweet.
Yeah, short and sweet. It'll be longer next time. Pun intended. Giggity. Peace out.
Peace.
Put this in your pipe and smoke it.
How now, brown bureaucrats?
Take that, Maynard G. Krebs.
Hey, see the sign?
Sorry.